I'm Dr. Jeanette Raymond, psychologist, psychotherapist, and relationship expert, and author of Now You Want Me, Now You Don't, 10 Ways to Recognize the Signs of Fear of Intimacy and 10 Ways to Manage It in Your Relationship. And in this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. I've been a psychologist for over 25 years. I've worked with children and adults and couples and families. And I love my work because I get to help people who want to have secure and stable and warm and loving relationships find out all the things that get in their way and to make it more smooth for them. And basically, it involves hearing all the pain that people experience and how difficult it is for them to get past that pain without someone understanding them and acknowledging it. And most of the time, the people that I see, whether they're individuals or couples, families or siblings, the one thing that they always seem to tell me, the one thing that they have in common is that they feel misunderstood or not understood at all, that they're invisible, that here they are screaming and shouting and doing everything they can to show that they exist, they're valuable, they can do things for someone else, that they are useful to people. In other words, they want to feel that they are loved for who they are, but don't feel it's possible, that some part of them grew up feeling unloved, unwanted, immaterial, insignificant. So they then have to create reasons for people to want them. I can do this, I can give you that, I can play this role in your life and that role. I'm your rock, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the attractive one, I'm your accoutrement, I'm your solid foundation, I can take care of your physical needs, I can do, all sorts of things like that. And it's basically because they feel unloved. But another thing that I find that my clients have in common, and what drove me to write the book, is that they have a fear, a most terrible fear, an overwhelming fear of being needy. They do not want to feel that they need somebody. So they cover it up by saying, I can manage on my own. I'll take care of you, but I don't need you to take care of me. I don't need anybody. I don't need anything. I don't need anything at all. I don't need affection. I don't need sympathy. I don't need empathy. I don't need closeness. I don't need intimacy. I don't need anything. And of course, it's not true. It's because when they were little and they did have needs, those needs were ignored, brushed aside, dismissed, unseen. So the child grew up thinking, well, what's the point of having needs if nobody's going to take care of them or even see them? All I get is pain and suffering, so I'm just going to push them away, bury them, hide them, pretend they don't exist. But then when they become adults, those needs come up again, and they're desperately trying to get them met by whoever they pick in their lives as a romantic partner, or they're still maybe trying to do it with a parent or a sibling or a friend. They pick somebody, and sometimes they pick people in sequence to try and fulfill those needs, but they're doing it by trying to buy something. Look how loyal I am. Look how much housework I do. Look how well I take care of the kids. Look how capable I am at cooking. Look how many balls I can juggle in the air while you sit there putting your feet up. All those, so they try to buy it. And of course, the other person doesn't like it. They don't want to be bought, and they don't want to feel that they have to just accept what's given to them and be grateful for it. It kind of stops the connection from forming. So then people end up having disagreements, misunderstandings, and most of all, fear that they are not going to be good enough on either end. The person giving and doing and wanting to be acknowledged and wanting to be validated feels like it's never going to be enough, so what's the point? And the person on the receiving end saying, oh my God, now I have to acknowledge this, and now I have to do that, and what more do they want from me, and how much more can I tell them and prove to them that I do care and I do love them? And it becomes overwhelming. They both give up, and the only thing that's left, and certainly in romantic couples, is sex. And sometimes that's the only way of feeling like both can give and take and be greedy and push people away when it's enough, because emotionally you can detach yourself from the sex if you want to, and it might be the only safe way of connecting. So one of the things I do, this is something about the way I practice, I help my clients understand their fears, their terror of being needy, of being opening up, and so on. And I help them understand that relationships can only exist if there's interdependence. That means both people need each other for different things, because we're social. We need affection, we need to feel close, we need to feel taken care of, but we also need to do our own thing. And we also need to be separate and have other friends and other hobbies, and take part in things in life that don't necessarily involve us in being enmeshed and doing things only with our partners. The other thing I find in my practice, and that has led me to write this book, is that I often see couples who are coming at a time for counseling when they're in a place of wanting to push each other away, and it becomes very fearsome for them. Are we going to separate forever? Is this it? Have we reached the point of no return? When really it's a place that they're going to after being too close and each one merging into the other, so they kind of lost themselves. And there are many couples I see like this who think for each other, who do everything together, who don't have any friends outside, who have no connections in the outside world. They live only for each other. They think, feel, do, act, everything in unison as if they're one person. It's bound to get suffocating, and then they have to really make the big effort to push each other apart. So they have to find reasons why the other person is annoying, aggravating, getting in the way, not understanding them, blaming them unnecessarily, just to breathe. So me, as an author and as a psychologist, have put all this to and fro, wanting, not wanting, now you want me, now you don't. All the different ways in which people come together when they're scared and become enmeshed and there's only one there. They can't think and feel for themselves. The other person has to do it for them. And then they get terrified that there's no me left. So then they have to go whoom, and split like that. And it's very painful because the edges are so sharp and uncomfortable. And they're terrified that they might never be able to get back in a comfortable place again. And sex doesn't do it. It just lasts for a few minutes, and it doesn't touch that emotional fear. So there's fear of being too close and fear of being too apart. And that's what I like to work on in my practice. I help couples, whether they're same-sex or heterosexual, it doesn't matter. I've also helped families where they become enmeshed and they want everybody all the time. They get together in crises, they pull out all the stops, and then they get so angry and resentful when there's not enough gratitude, when there's no payback. And then they pull apart and they call each other names and they throw each other out of their lives, only to feel lonely and miserable again because they don't have anyone else. And then they try and find ways of pulling together again by buying their affection. Look what I can do, look what I have, taste this, try that, and so the cycle goes on. So as a psychologist, I'm very, very keen to help people make the balance towards interdependency rather than total dependency or total aloneness, because neither of those extremes are healthy, and they're certainly not going to help you have a good relationship with anybody. The other thing I want to tell you about myself is that when I see clients like the ones I've just described, they're under enormous stress, enormous stress. And sometimes it comes out in ways that you wouldn't imagine. One person might tell me in the couple or in the family that they've got backache, or they have lots of headaches, or they've suddenly discovered they have stomach problems, they have skin rashes, they can't sleep. That's one of the biggest ones. And this is a way in which I help them understand how stress goes into the body. Because when they're either enmeshed or they're separate and not wanting to talk, they can't communicate how terrible it feels to be so insecure in your relationship. So the stress goes into their body. And as you read with Christy, that was a way in which she did get attention, by getting sick, and it works. So when you have a headache, or you've got a skin rash, or you can't sleep, it evokes concern in your loved ones, and they try and minister to you. But it's not healthy, because as soon as you're better again, they feel like, okay, now I can go back to being me, and I don't have to take care of you just so I don't feel guilty or bad, or that you die on me, or that I lose you. It's not really because they care. It's about a fear of loss. So I notice how many fears people have, and how it comes out in the body through stress, and how insecurity can make you stressed. And that's one of my specialties that I have used to help write this book and communicate to you what might be going on in your life, so you can pick up and pull the threads that apply to you and weave your own pattern of relationship security that makes sense for you, with the help of the book, resonating with the characters, the 10 signs I give you of fear of intimacy that you can check out, and the 10 ways of connecting when you see them, so that you're neither completely separate and alone and miserable, or enmeshed and feeling suffocated and wanting to run away. So enjoy.